that much land mass in the southern hemisphere as there is in the northern hemisphere. And it seems like Australia has been taking the brunt of it during their summertime. And their wintertime is getting colder also. I have some very in-depth thoughts about this. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump out of here. And, this is real quick. I wanted to show you guys this before I forget. This is the cactus. This is 2022, January 12th. This is the same coronal mass ejection that I showed you on the seeds coronagraphs. Look how massive that is. That was on the back side of the sun. Kind of looks like it's coming right at you, but it's not. That was on the backside. Imagine something like this catastrophically coming towards the Earth. We can literally be right into that movie 2012. So again, you guys go and watch that movie and you guys check it out. But I wanted to show you this diagram, and this is the one that we were just looking at in the article when I was talking about the seasonal changes. Okay, so we have the Earth, north axis, southern axis, North Star Polaris, Southern Star Sigma Octanus. Okay, so these are the two stars that the Earth's axis points to. And that is how our tilt, that's how our tilt is. Okay? That's how it's acquired. I was looking for that key word. But how does this Earth wobble happen? You know, scientists try to explain it, but it just doesn't make any sense. And the Earth wobble has gotten worse. How do we know? Well, let's just take a look at the seasons. Why would the seasons be changing? How could the seasons change? You cannot blame all of that on global warming and climate change. I'm sorry, you just can't. So in this diagram, I've placed in the very acute orbit of our Planet X friend as it rotates around the sun in its 28-day orbit. And each and every time that object loops around with the very intense magnetic field that it has, don't you think that it would be affecting the Earth? The Earth having a molten iron core. The core is heating up. If this object had the ability and the strength to intensify and pull on the Earth ever so slightly, what do you think would happen? Seasons would start to change. And just in, normal evolution of the Earth, the seasons didn't just change that rapidly. It probably took hundreds, if not thousands of years to occur naturally. But now, in a 5-6 year time span, it has increased tenfold. So the weather that I'm experiencing where I live, it's almost like the Earth has been tilted in such a way, that wobble, which has changed my weather where I live. it's very strange being here in Pittsburgh, where I grew up, and walking outside on Christmas Day and the day after Christmas, and it's 62 degrees. It's weird. Doesn't make sense. And it's alarming. Now, I'm not saying that the Earth's going to flip over and, we'll have all this crustal displacement. No, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is we have a very, very large influence out there orbiting our sun. And I have shown everybody the evidence year after year after year after year. And, thank God that I've been able to adapt and get some help with technology to bring these images in even more clearer than have ever been seen. And speaking of the images, there's a few YouTube channels out there that are kind of, they're doctoring some images, and they're trying to make their images look like mine. But they're complete fakes, because there is absolutely no way in hell that they could have the same technology that I now have access to. Well, I've actually had access to it now. It's going on 3 years. And I have some help on the other end. And it's taken a very, very long time to put all of this together, to figure it out. So, don't be fooled by these other channels that are showing you mocked up photographs using, like Microsoft Paint and some of those other programs. But anywho, this is what I'm thinking. Because of these changes in the weather, the climate, these seasonal changes is what's alarming to me. So what do things look like 5 years from now? Maybe all of the solstices, the winter solstice, the spring, the summer, the fall, maybe they all change. Yes, the Earth's axis will point to Polaris and Sigma. That maybe won't change. Hopefully it doesn't, because that would be catastrophic. But what is changing is the Earth's wobble around the sun. So one complete wobble takes 365 days. We're not talking about the Earth's rotation. We're talking about the Earth wobbling on its axis. So as the sun rotates around the sun in the course of 365 days, it is wobbling on its axis. That wobble is becoming more and more acute. Its angle is becoming more acute. So, for instance, at this time of year, we're in January, we had our first little snowfall a couple days ago. Wasn't much, 2.5, 3 inches. Right after that, the next day, it was 42 degrees, all the snow melted, all the rivers, rose, and we barely missed a major flooding event. So again, the question, how is that all possible? In January, in Pittsburgh, in the East Coast, super moderate temperatures. But it's just not here in the United States. It's happening over in Europe also, because they're right across the pond from us. Right now, the temperature in London is 41 degrees Fahrenheit. The same in southern Norway and Sweden. The temperature, moderate 40 degree Fahrenheit. Yeah. Iceland right now, Iceland, hence the name. 19 degrees. Only. That's it. So, I've been, working on this theory for quite some time. Some days it baffles me. Some days I question it all. But there's one thing that is a fact, is that these seasons are changing so rapidly, and it's becoming so acute that you just cannot ignore it. And you can't label it climate change. Why, maybe I guess you can, because that's what's occurring. But it's not the same climate change that science wants to define in their own way, because they're leaving out one major factor. And we know what that factor is. Because without that factor, they don't have a leg to stand on. Period. They could say whatever they want. They can write all of their abstracts. They could put out all of their research. But they're leaving out that one main factor. What's pulling on the earth? What's heating the earth's core up? What has caused the dramatic increase in larger earthquakes, larger volcanic eruptions lasting many, many months? You see, science isn't always correct, as we've clearly seen over the course of the last 2 years dealing with this. You know what I'm talking about. All these shutdowns, and I'm not even going to mention the word. Now I really am getting kind of worried what life is going to be like as we move further and further into this solar maximum, when the sun really starts to heat up. No pun intended. We have no way of escaping coronal mass ejections. Massive solar flares blasting the earth. Science, mainstream science, is just not going to tell us the truth, as all of you have seen with the other situation that has lasted, in the media over the past 2 years. You all know what I'm talking about. All lies. All lies. And they continue to lie. Is there a connection? There may possibly be. I really, I have been thinking about it. But if I try to voice those thoughts on this YouTube channel or any YouTube channel or on social media, ooh man, I'll be chastised. I'll be canceled out, deleted, terminated. None of you will hear my voice. So I think very strongly that this is what is happening to our planet. That we are being pulled on, tugged on, as this massive object rotates and orbits around the sun every 28 days. We get very close to it. It gets close to us. And as we orbit around the sun, there are periods in time where we actually get even closer. And things really start to heat up. And it seems to run, like in 4 to 6 month increments, when things really, really start to heat up and we see that increase in earthquake activity.